Hello and welcome. I am Ladi Akeredoluale. Tonight, speakers at the platform in Lagos inspire hope towards resolving Nigeria's challenges as they ask citizens to promote the country's strengths and de-emphasize her weaknesses. Labour leaders at the forum in Abuja recommend selfless leadership as a way to sustaining peace and national unity. Governor Willie Obiano formally kicks off campaign for his re-election as the chief executive of Anambra State for another 4 years. And over 50 persons are killed and about 400 are injured as a gunman shoots into a crowd attending a musical festival in Las Vegas in the United States.
And on business news tonight, mobile network operators joined central bank to tackle electronic payments fraud from SIM card swap.
On sports news, Super Eagles camp opens in Uyo for Saturday's 2018 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Zambia.
From Abuja, returning IDPs in Yobe State appeal for urgent assistance to facilitate their resettlement process.
We begin in Lagos, where various speakers at this year's edition of the platform gave the country reasons to continue to believe in the Nigerian project. They believe that in spite of the current challenges facing the country, it has the potential of becoming a key player in the Committee of Nations. In his presentation, the host of the event, Pastor Pt.1 Oyemade of the Covenant Christian Center, highlighted the importance of upholding the law as a means of ensuring a stable polity.
Putting together the jigsaw pieces that form Nigeria is the theme of the 2017 edition of the Platform Nigeria that attracted invited guests and dignitaries from all over the country to the Covenant Christian Center, Lagos. It holds as Nigeria celebrates 57 years of independence and the national anthem is rendered. The people settled down to hear the presentations of the speakers. Pastor Pt.1 Oyemade sets the tone by pointing out the importance of upholding the law as one of the solutions to the country's challenges.
Rules and regulations such as traffic laws need to be established and enforced by private and public institutions in order for a free society to exist. There must be stringent laws against fraud, theft, murder, the breaking of contracts, and those laws should be effectively enforced according to the classic principle that the punishment should fit the crime. The full weight of the law should be used to fine and imprison perpetrators and to compensate victims and to safeguard the rights of the innocent, for one sinner can destroy much good.
Respected academic Professor Patutomi emphasizes the need for Nigerians to embrace change through good leadership.
Let us be ready for change. What matters is being ready for change and making everybody come together. Good leadership to go to where the promise of our country is. Nigeria will rise up again.
For renowned speaker Reverend Father Matthew Kuka, Nigerians have a shared responsibility to make the country realize her potential.
What kind of manpower should we be generating? This is the only country where we think if anything has gone wrong, it's because of our president. If anything has gone wrong, it's because of... But leadership doesn't work like that. The Chinese, for example, every year produce 4.7 million engineering students. Okay? What they call STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. India has produced about 2.6. The United States of America, miserable 500 and something. But we have to begin to measure the kind of manpower that we must deploy into the system if our country is going to develop.
The Platform Nigeria seeks to inspire national development and growth of personal capacity and productivity in all sectors of the country.
There were other speakers at the event, including the Minister of Trade and Investment, Mr. Okechukwu Enalama. He suggested the creation of an enabling environment as a solution to building the Nigeria of our dreams. Also speaking, the Vice-Chancellor of Igbinedion University, Professor Osage Ehosa, former presidential spokesman, Mr. Segun Adeniyi, and former international, Mr. Segun Odegbami, also recommended ways of changing the Nigerian story.
Every successful country had a partnership between business and government. In other words, there were stakeholders that worked together to create the country. Nigeria will not be an exception. The good news is that I believe that the people are willing. The businesses are willing. And now, being in government, I can actually speak as part of the government. We are willing to form this partnership that will build the Nigeria of our dreams.
The political parties are imperial organizations. They actually reproduce in their kind the power of the center. The state branches of parties don't exist. That's on federal. The state branches must exist, the local branches must exist. Political parties need to become federal structures. In the theory of federalism, the animation of federalism rests squarely with the political parties. The direction that the federal system is going to go is determined by political parties. Our parties have voted for a determinate center federalism. Our political parties are unitary structures. And unitary structures cannot but contradict federal principles.
Recognizing that we may not always agree on the details of how to perfect our union, it becomes problematic the moment any argument is framed in a way that makes the incumbent think it is an attempt to distract him from governance or to get power through the back door. But history also shows that leaders who improve their society are not those who divide along the voting pattern in the elections that brought them to power, but those who can bring diverse citizens together to work for the common good.
The 2034 World Cup beckons. It will be the turn of Africa. Let us resurrect that idea, because FIFA already has expanded the World Cup to 48 countries. They have agreed. Now they know that a single country hosting the World Cup may never work. They have agreed. People are thinking it. They are coming up with ideas of a multi-nation World Cup. We can have a West African World Cup made of 4 or 5 or 6 countries. And the dream of our fathers at independence will be achieved. The road from Johannesburg to Cairo will start to be constructed. The road from Dakar to Douala will start to be constructed. The millions of jobs that this will throw up will belong to our youth.
For the Nigerian Labour Congress, a leadership that is selfless and committed to improved living conditions for workers may be the answer for Nigeria's quest for peaceful coexistence. And that's according to its president, Mr. Ayuba Waba, who was speaking in Abuja, where he said recent agitations for self-determination can be attributed to corruption and the selfishness of some political leaders. While criticizing those who promote separatist agitations, the Labour leader, alongside other speakers, asked the government to address the cause of those agitations.
The Independence Day celebration provides the opportunity for leaders at various levels and the citizens to appraise Nigeria's performance in the last 57 years of political independence from Britain and how to move the nation forward. As part of activities to celebrate the Independence Day in Abuja, leaders of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) are in this conference hall to discuss how to move Nigeria forward.
As a country,
the president of the NLC, Mr. Ayuba Waba, opens the discussion, calling on leaders to imbibe the culture of selfless service and build bridges of national unity.
In almost 6 decades of national independence, we are not where we ought to be as a country. As we celebrate 57 years of political independence, those qualities of selfless service are very much needed in today's contemporary Nigeria. As Nigerians, we must continue to have confidence in ourselves. As citizens, build bridges of peace and unity instead of indulging in hatred and constant promotion of separatism agitation.
In a similar vein, the guest speaker draws the attention of the political elites to work at bridging the gap between the rich and the poor.
There are divisions, but The class divisions, I think, is the most obvious. In spite of these seeming divisions, there is a common denominator. They find the denominator in corruption. When they share money and allocate publicly owned utilities to themselves, there are no divisions.
Professor Ogo also emphasized on the need to ensure that the recent national economic growth reflects the living conditions of the masses.
Development is about people. Growth is about figures and percentages. So those who are clapping that we are out of the recession, the economy might be doing well in those terms, but the people are not.
There have been several opinions expressed by groups and individuals since Sunday, October 1, 2017, when Nigeria's 57th independence anniversary was celebrated, with many criticizing the slow pace of development and attributing it to corruption and the lack of political will.
To look further on how Nigeria can overcome its present challenges, we have in our Abuja studios a public affairs analyst and civil society activist, Mr. Ezemwa Wagu. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
We all know what the challenges that Nigeria is faced with at the moment are, and many of the solutions, of course, have been proffered. Many solutions have been proffered. But in your view, what is the one single immediate step that should be taken going forward from now?
Well, I would think that is to increase citizen participation in governance. I think what bedevils us really is the level of aloofness, the level of citizen aloofness that is the big challenge for me. And why do I say that? I'll just give you an example, and I said it somewhere else today. I said the colonial masters, I didn't see them. We didn't read or hear that they drilled boreholes. We saw that they built dams and water reservoirs. Those who took over from them celebrate drilling of boreholes as dividends of democracy. But there's even a degeneration right now that when governments pay salaries, people celebrate that they are paying salaries. So I think that why that is happening is because citizens are not engaging. Citizens are not interested. Citizens think that government is somewhere and they are there. And we are allowing the narrative of elites, the elite, the pastime of the elites to take over even those little things that matter to us on a daily basis. We should be interested in our budgets. We should be interested in what comes to health. We should be interested in what comes to education. We should be interested in what comes to transportation. We should be interested in how much gets to our local governments. That is what is important for us as citizens of the country. If the country is restructured, that will be fine. But before that happens, there is question of hunger. Poverty is ravaging the country. And why that is possible is because the resources of the country goes to the hands of a few. And those of us who should be interested in knowing how these resources is distributed, we are aloof, we are insensitive, we don't care.
Now, you mentioned the issue of restructuring in your last answer there. And in his broadcast yesterday, the president said all the issues that have to do with restructuring or reconfiguring or whatever else it may be defined as should be laid at the doorstep of the federal and state lawmakers, because that's what the law says. Now, is this not part of what should be guiding us in this citizen participation that you seem to be so concerned about?
Yes, my sense of this is that the whole conversation around restructuring is nebulous right now. People define it. I think we should zero around economic restructuring. We should take away a situation in which two families in the country will have two private jets, one for the husband, one for the wife. We need to redistribute wealth, and that is important. That is the point that I think that I'm more interested in. The National Assembly itself is working against even the people. When you hear things like public hearing in the National Assembly, how public is it? Okay, the president is saying we should take every issue to the National Assembly. The last constitutional amendment is the worst in people's participation that this country has recorded. in terms of engaging the people around the issues that matter to them. So citizens will need to push through more forcefully, more conscientiously in the way they engage, not just the National Assembly, even in the way they engage national discourse. We should be the one initiating what has to be discussed and not allow the elites to give us what they want us to discuss. As I speak to you now, the question that is drowning in the mind of a lot of people is that in Benue State, salaries are not being paid. In Kogi State, salaries are not being paid. In Imo State, pensioners are not paid their pension. Once the resources is not in the hand of working people, then you are going to be dealing with this very, somebody talked about imperial political parties. We'll be talking about imperial issues that are at this point very far away from us, though desirable, but they are not the real issues that we should contend with today.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Ezenwa Wagu, for joining us on the news at 10 tonight. Thank you very much.